Thank you for coming to the session on clearinghouse edit examples. We're going to talk first about EDI in general so you can recall the process. This image comes from Administrative Services of Kansas, which is a Blue Cross Blue Shield licensee. What you're seeing here is the EDI process from the trading partner. Notice the claim is sent by the trading partner, which in this case they're calling providers or secondary payers. The claim is received by the EDI system, identified as an 837I, which is an institutional claim, or an 837P, which is a professional claim, or an 837D, which is a dental claim. At the clearinghouse, generally here, editing at the claim level is done. This is the claim level editing that we're going to be talking about in a moment. An acknowledgement is sent to the trading partner of receipt, and you'll note that on this section it says rejected claims need to be corrected and submitted. So then they go back here into the cycle again. And then accepted or clean claims get sent on to the payer. It is these acknowledgments that we will be looking at specifically. There are many, many layers to EDI, and we will be looking at the ones that are most commonly seen by the billing office. Clearinghouse specialists and health information technologists are the ones who handle clearinghouse materials and data format. First, let's look at a sample remittance advice. What you'll note is that this has been redacted. So there is some information missing that you would see. Above the gray line here, you would have the patient information, but because this came from a live document, it has been redacted. The procedure information is here, along with the charges, the total adjustment, and the amount the insurance paid, as well as adjustments and coinsurance. You'll notice that the insurance paid nothing here. And we have an adjustment code of CO16. There are several types of codes for denials and adjustments, which you can see on a remittance advice. In this case, this is an adjustment code or a claim adjustment reason code, which we have right here as a contractual obligation, which explains a great deal of this information and says, including here, at least one remark code must be provided. Note, refer to the 835 Healthcare Policy Identification segment, loop 2110. There's a great deal of information in there. If we wanted to look up loop 2110 service payment information, we could. All of this information is publicly available. It is just a little confusing. But because this is telling us at least one remark code must be provided, we can happily look down and find our remark codes, which have been provided for us here. Now this is all the same date of service, and it's all the same procedure code, but we have 3 remark codes here. Remark codes add additional information to claim adjustment codes, and they may be in the form of an alert. In fact, this one here, the N211, is an alert that says you may not appeal this decision. Now, before we get alarmed of what we can and cannot appeal, we need to look at the other two statements, the MA61 and MA27. These are standardized denial statements and remark codes, so you'll be able to get used to seeing these. Notice that MA61 is just invalid or incomplete information on the insurance claim, and MA27 is missing, invalid, or incomplete number shown on the claim or name. So while we may not be able to appeal this decision, there's the possibility of resubmitting this claim with the appropriate information. Next, we'll take a look at the adjustment codes and the reason codes and where they come from. Claim adjustment reason codes are part of the ASC X12 source codes, and you'll notice that the definition for these is these codes communicate a reason for an adjustment that describes why a claim or service line was paid differently than it was billed. Then we have the remittance advice remark codes. These are somewhat external to the ASC 12. And you can see, hopefully here, remittance advice remark codes are used to provide additional explanation for an adjustment already described by the claim adjustment reason code, which is what we just saw. We saw that there was a denial and then additional information as to why. Notice here, each RARC identifies a specific message as shown in the remittance advice remark code list. There are generally two types of RARCs, supplemental and informational. The majority of the RARCs are supplemental and generally referred to as RARCs without further distinction. Supplemental RARCs provide additional explanation for an adjustment already described by a CARC. The second type of RARC is informational. These RARCs are all prefaced with alert and are often referred to as alerts. Alerts are used to convey information about remittance processing and are never related to a specific adjustment or CARC. We noticed that when we saw an alert that said we could not appeal this payment decision. So it clearly only applied to remittance processing for that particular claim. Lastly, we're going to see where to find a list of all of the CARCs and the RARCs. Among all the different code sets used by the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services and the National Uniform Claim Committee, these are the ASC X12 healthcare code lists. And they are here on the WPC-EDI.com website. You can look up essentially any clearinghouse or remittance advice code in here. Hopefully this helps you understand a little better how the EDI works. What we didn't cover are the claim status codes, claim status category codes, and then there are some others for exchanges between insurance companies. There are also codes in here that apply to eligibility status, and they are embedded in these lists as well. I hope that you will take the time, when you have time, to go through this list and just familiarize yourself with these different types of codes. Thank you for attending this session.